Well, now we're going to tell the story of Easter morning. Now, because Jewish people aren't permitted to work on the Sabbath day, they remember Jesus being in the tomb, and so it says when the Sabbath was over, Mary of Magdala, we call her Mary Magdalene, she lived up at the northwest corner of the Sea of Galilee. Mary, the mother of James and Salome. Salome's husband was a rich man. Brought aromatic oils intending to go and anoint the body of Jesus. And very early on the Sunday morning, just after sunrise, they came to the tomb. They were wondering among themselves who would roll away the stone for them from the entrance. When they looked up and saw that the stone, huge as it was, had already been rolled back. They went into the tomb. They'd have to kind of duck down low for that. And there they saw a young man sitting on the right-hand side wearing a white robe. And they were dumbfounded. But this young man said, "Fear nothing. You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He's risen. He's not here. Look, there's the place where they laid him. But go and give this message to his disciples and to Peter." Oh, that's important. "He will go on before you into Galilee, and you will see him there, as he told you." Then they went out and ran away from the tomb, beside themselves with terror. They said nothing to anybody because they were afraid. Well, they must have finally told somebody, or we wouldn't know. Yes. So later on it says, and this is where the Gospel of Mark ends, they delivered all these instructions briefly to Peter and his companions. Well, well, well. So that's where it ends. But yeah, I think I'll just leave it there. He said if they would go back to Galilee, where they first met him, they would find him there. Well, let's try an Easter hymn. Here's one that we like to sing. Hallelujah, Jesus lives. He is now the living one. From the gloomy halls of death, Christ the conqueror has gone, bright forerunner to the skies of his people yet to rise. Hallelujah, Jesus lives. He is now the living one. Or, I know that my Redeemer lives. What comfort this sweet sentence gives. He lives, who once was dead. He lives, my ever-living head. Or Jesus Christ is risen today. Hallelujah. Our triumphant holy day, hallelujah, who did once upon the cross, hallelujah, suffer to redeem our loss, hallelujah. Well, I'm going to tell you a few things that are important. Jesus didn't just rise at one particular time. Jesus keeps on rising again and again and again. How do we know? Well, when people believe the truth and tell the truth the way Jesus did, and that's what got him into trouble. People didn't want to hear the truth. When people want to know the truth, Jesus is rising again. Or when people decide to help the poor. How many times have we find stories in the gospel of Jesus helping the poor people and making fun of the rich people? And of the rich people, he'd say, "You've had your reward." And he would forgive people who had made mistakes in life, because we all make mistakes. And once he was criticized when he forgave a woman who had to make a living as a prostitute because there was no other way. And he said to her, "Your many sins are forgiven. But those who have never sinned cannot be forgiven." See. Or remember the story. It's a wonderful story. Jesus had been helping people, different people, and some mothers came along and asked if he could bless their children. And Jesus' disciples said, "No, he's busy." And Jesus heard them and he said, "No, let the little children come to me, for of such is God's kingdom. And I tell you, unless you become like a little child, you cannot even enter the kingdom." So the mothers brought their babies, and he blessed them. Wherever we come to realize that the poor and the needy and the children of the world are just as important as the people who think themselves rich and mighty, Jesus is rising again. So it happens whenever we understand the message of Jesus and we believe it and we listen to it, and we know that there's no such thing as one person more important than another. There are people who think themselves more important, but no. People who are leprous, people who are born blind, people who are handicapped, people who are poor, are just as important as anyone else. And when we believe that and act like that is true, Jesus is rising again. And Jesus will keep on rising again and again and again, over and over again. Wherever people understand what he meant, whenever they came to understand what was important, then Jesus is rising again. And his message goes on and on and on. And it's a message which is about love rather than hate. About kindness about being more concerned about others than yourself, about the truth, even when it hurts. So when is Easter happening? Oh, not just one day of the week, not just this coming Sunday. Over and over and over again, through thousands and thousands of years, the message of Jesus risen is repeating itself. All we need is ears to hear and eyes to see. And know what makes peace happen, not war. What makes love happen, not hatred. What turns enemies into friends. That's when the rising of Jesus, the resurrection, is happening over and over and over again. So that's the message of Easter. I think I'll get to see you one of these days.
Thank you, Pastor Hanson.
You are welcome, dear.
This is perfect.